At first glance, you'll wonder why anyone would pay money for what looks like a flash game. But after Vampire Survivors sinks its teeth in and you've played for 20 hours, you'll have found that this survival roguelite, where literally all you can do is move around, offers a breadth of content, characters, upgrades, maps, secrets, enemies, and super addictive gameplay. This game also uses a bunch of monetization tactics, but barely monetizes, and in this video, we're gonna find out how. Vampire Survivors costs $4.99, and once you've bought it, there isn't any other monetization. You actually can't spend money on anything other than to buy post-launch DLC that adds more brand new content to the game. Vampire Survivors has, however, also recently been released on mobile, and although it's the same game, it has a different monetization model. You can download the game right now for free, and actually get access to the exact same game that you'd pay $4.99 for on other platforms, with the only minor difference being that you can watch ads to get bonuses in-game. The first bonus is that once per run, when you die, you can watch an ad to revive. The other bonus is that after each run, you can watch an ad to get some extra gold. Since the game is exactly the same as the PC and console version, you can completely ignore these ads and get the exact same experience. The benefits for watching the ads, however, do impact the gameplay, making it slightly easier and progression slightly faster if you choose to watch them. There are, however, other ways to revive in the game, and after the start of the game, the bonus gold you get doesn't really matter all that much, only really providing a minor progression boost. The most important part about these additions is that the game has not been changed in any way that encourages players to watch the ads. As I said before, the mobile version is exactly the same as the PC and console versions, other than the ads, meaning that there's no artificially increased grind or difficulty to encourage you to watch the ads that you'd expect to see in other mobile games. The base game of Vampire Survivors costs $4.99, which is in line with similar games in the space that have similar mechanics and art style. However, one area where Vampire Survivors really exceeds expectations is that even after the release of the first DLC, the game is still being updated with new content for free. And we're not just talking about bug fixes. These are real additions to the game that add new content like new power-ups and stages that could have easily been saved to be used as part of DLC. Not to mention that the game already has a ton of content packed into it. There's also the Legacy of the Moonspell DLC, a major content pack that adds a whole new map, characters, weapons, enemies, bosses, challenges, and more. You can pick up this add-on for $1.99, which is about equivalent to 2/5 the cost of the base game. Based on what you get in this DLC, it seems that it's equivalent to more or less 2/5 the content in the base game, especially considering that the new map is the biggest and most intricate map released to date, really making it feel like an evolution of the base game. As for the mobile version, unlike almost every other free game, you can't spend money on this game. No cosmetics, no in-game shop, no paying for progress, nothing. You heard me right, you actually can't spend money on the mobile version. The only monetization is via the optional ads. Vampire Survivors isn't using any tactics to get you to spend any extra money. So instead, let's talk about some of the ways that the developers use the tricks that other games use to make you spend money to instead enhance Vampire Survivors gameplay without trying to stick their hand in your wallet. One of the best feelings in Vampire Survivors is finding a chest. Before you pop it open, you'll be waiting in anticipation to see if it's a normal 1-item chest, a rare 3-item chest, or an ultra rare 5-item chest. Instead of walking over the chest to claim it and just getting the items inside, when you pick up a chest in Vampire Survivors, you'll be greeted to an over-the-top animation with flashing colors, items cycling like a slot machine, and exciting music. All this makes getting a chest feel like something big is happening. Even if you only end up with a minor upgrade, it hits your dopamine receptors and really makes you excited to open the next one. This feeling of excitement is used to keep you playing the game and to make it more fun, whereas in other games with similar chests or loot boxes, these methods of making it exciting to open a chest are used to instead hook you into spending money on more boxes in the hope of getting that feeling again. Like in CSGO, where you get the same slot machine type of animation and have the same feeling of anticipation and excitement, but have to pay to open the boxes. Progression is another way that Vampire Survivors uses tactics normally used to monetize to instead improve the experience for the player in a non-predatory way. When you level up in Vampire Survivors, you get another over-the-top animation, with flashing lights, gems pouring down, and your pick out of a few random power-ups or equipment. This makes leveling up feel like another event and hits those same dopamine receptors as before. And again, where Vampire Survivors uses these animations and randomness to get you to look forward to the next level up, other more predatory games will do the same thing with their progression systems, which isn't inherently a problem, but becomes one once you look at how you level up. In Vampire Survivors, to get the next level up, you need to pick up an increasing number of gems dropped by enemies. Each level up will require more gems than the last, but to make up for these increased requirements, you'll be seeing an increasing number of enemies and new gems worth more XP. And so, as you progress in Vampire Survivors, you'll never feel like it's an endless grind, and you'll instead always feel like you're progressing at a steady rate. Other more predatory games will make it really easy to progress at first, to get you hooked on leveling up, to then pull the rug out from underneath you and start making it artificially harder and harder to progress, until you feel like the only way that you can progress at a reasonable rate is to spend money on the game. You see this a lot in free-to-play mobile games. And again, it's not inherently bad to make it harder to progress in a game, but becomes a problem when the only reason it's made harder is so that players will feel pressure to spend money on the game, or be stuck in an endless grind. This just makes the experience worse for everyone. The same principle also applies to the level up system outside of your individual runs, where you can spend gold for permanent upgrades. In Vampire Survivors, you get gold by playing the game, and will steadily get upgrades. Whereas in other games, you'd see cash shops, where you can buy additional gold to be able to buy upgrades faster. In the case of games with the cash shop, you'd also normally see the prices of upgrades be overinflated, to encourage players to spend money to get the upgrades faster. This again diminishes the overall experience for players by screwing with the pacing of the game for the sole reason of making more money. These are just a few ways that Vampire Survivors uses these tactics to improve their game instead of being predatory. Vampire Survivors isn't the only game that flips these tactics on their head, so let me know what I missed in Vampire Survivors, or if you've played any other games that fit the bill in the comments below. As for the mobile version, they have the ads that we talked about earlier, but they're really non-invasive. And with them being the only monetization in the game, they seem completely reasonable. What's really commendable about the mobile version is that even though the ads impact the gameplay, the mobile version doesn't change the game to make it more attractive to players to watch the ads. For example, it would have been really easy to increase the cost of upgrades to make it so people are more likely to watch ads for gold, or increase the difficulty so that players would be more likely to watch an ad to revive. But they didn't let monetization affect their game, and that shows impeccable restraint and respect for fans and consumers. Not to mention that according to the developer, instead of using a third party to help port the game to mobile, the team at Vampire Survivors decided to port it on their own, because no mobile developer they talked to would port the game without adding in predatory monetization. In terms of monetization's impact on gameplay, there is none. Once you buy the game, that's it. As for the mobile version, there are ads that you can watch for bonuses that do provide minor advantages, but these are very minor, and everyone is on an even playing field. As for pricing, Vampire Survivors is one of those games that doesn't ask for anything more than its modest selling price, and gives you a ton of content and constant updates for free. And unlike basically every mobile game out there, you can't spend money on the mobile version of Vampire Survivors, making it one of the most generous games out there. On both PC and mobile, Vampire Survivors flips the script and uses tactics generally used to take advantage of players to instead enhance their game. The developer also seems to always have the community's best interests in mind, and clearly isn't just in it for the money. Overall, Vampire Survivors is one of the best monetized games in recent memory, especially in the mobile space. Games like this make me hopeful for the future of gaming, especially with all the money-hungry companies out there. Vampire Survivors and Vampire Survivors Mobile get a 10 and 9.8 respectively. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos in the comments, and click the link on screen now to watch another video.